great war comes as we know it must. And the government says it's time for every citizen to go and fight to the death.
Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk. I got a replay here from NiteDog. He's in his Tier 8 ISU-152 heavy hitter casemate TDs on Himmelsdorf, where it can be tricky to use casemate TDs in a 3-5-7 battle in these bottom tier. And he's going to have a pretty dang good game in this thing. So let's talk about casemate TDs, how you play them, and specifically one of the ways you can play them in a map like Himmelsdorf, which is a city map. Now there are a lot of corridors here, obviously, to shoot down, but the enemy has to be complacent to some extent or to help you, or your team has to be pushing and baiting pretty well. So he's going to go to a fairly common TD starting spot right here on the 3 column. And you can see it, he's got a nice long look right down there. He's got a Centurion up ahead of him, getting him a little bit more vision because this thing doesn't necessarily see very far. But you can see that on a small map like this, it's typically not a problem. NiteDog's really moving around a little bit. Maybe missed a shot opportunity, but doesn't matter because the Oho shows up for a blap in the side and has 852 dropped on him. So he's going to scoot around a little bit. Unknown if he has 6th sense. If he doesn't, he probably didn't really need to move right there. And after the first time he moved, I wouldn't even have worried about it. Although he's probably a little bit worried about the bat chat seeing him. Not quite ready. A little bit late on the reaction to get a shot on the crossing AC-48. That is one of the problems with this little corridor, is there are some fleeting shots right there as they're crossing. Maybe that 110 will give him some more shots. Now NiteDog is very careful with this tank, very careful when he plays his casemate TDs, and that is something that you have to do. Maybe the 12 TO peak, yep, and he gets one lobbed on him, double tapped, and he's gone. He's just sitting back, he's waiting. The good news here though is that he's not necessarily camping. He's in a spot where his gun is busy. He's getting shots, his team is pushing up, and he's supporting. The question then becomes, when do I stop doing that? When do I stop doing that and do something different? The Type 4 wishes he was doing something different because he just got wrecked by the guys up on the hill and across. Sitting out in that little open hole, here comes the 110, and we'll erase him for 680. So we've dropped some pretty good damage, 1300, about 2100 damage or so. And you can see that he has decided that the west side is probably covered, right? Their whole team has pushed through. They got a little advantage in tanks. They've dropped 4 enemy tanks, and there appears to be an issue down in Tank Alley. And for right now, the hill is holding. So he's going to take his TD and go support somewhere else. What you will notice he doesn't do is he doesn't rage straight in. Now I have a problem with that. I probably would have got a little closer on some of these. But watch as he works this very carefully with the ISU. It's decently mobile, but not amazing. You can see it's getting in there. It's not T95 slow, and it's got a big boomstick. So he's going to come around here very carefully, see if he can catch one of these heavies in the side, kind of like this mouse, blap him, and then see if he can back up and get out of the way. Good news is the mouse dies, and long reload. Relatively long reload with the big gun. He's going to come in here and take a nice little peek into this hole here. If he'd have aimed just a little lower, he might have actually gone through that lower plate, although it was curving away. That's a very difficult shot right there to pin. And the 110E5 misses, so he'll back up and reload, which is a good idea. 110E5 gets hammered. He's got a 54 behind him, an IS-4 in front of him, and NiteDog's just going to run at him and blap, and we've dropped another 443. So around 33, 35, somewhere in there, 100 damage. He's looking at the hill because the hill has been won by the enemy. There is a possibility if they peek over that little open spot up there that you can get a shot. But it also exposes the ISU, which doesn't have amazing armor. So he's going to push in here down Tank Alley. And you can see that his team has their team cornered. Let's see how it goes. He's going to come down here, use the rubble as cover, see what he can see. He's going to rush a shot on this guy. Probably had a little bit time to let it zoom in. And the WZ-132 Alpha gets away, which is unfortunate. Now there was an object here, and it looks like the enemy team has made a bit of a comeback. They're going to start surrounding the 100 and IS-4. As a matter of fact, there's an AMX now in the backfield, and that is something that NiteDog's going to have to worry about, because if he shows up right behind him, and in fact he did, good news is the 100 just killed him. So we've got the medium out that was behind him. Looks like the 132 Alpha died, so that's all good news. And NiteDog's going to be very careful. The question becomes, where is that Object 704? The two of these tanks have the same gun. The Object's got a few more hit points and a little bit better armor. So he doesn't really want to duel him face to face unless he absolutely has to. Panther gets by. He was doing quite a bit of moving around with the gun right there. Maybe one of the few cases where his patience didn't pay off. And you'll notice now he's crossing right here, and we've got the Object 704 looking right at us here. So we're going to take a hit in the side. And now we've got much fewer options as far as trading goes. We've got to be extremely careful from here on out. He's going to head around this way. He's got an E100 coming up behind him. So perhaps with him and the E100 they can take on the 704. But he's also got 3 of their tanks taking on 2 of theirs, and the IS-4 is still wandering around over near the hill. So he's being careful here. No need to come right around the corner. Good news, 7/1 is gone. Oh, the E100 misses the JP. Just trying to find that object. Where is that thing? It's only the T-54 over there now. That's a little bit dangerous right there. One thing you got to watch out for when you're side scraping or kind of peeking around, if you pull straight back and then spin your tank around and drop your rear end around to being viewed, you can be shot. This is extremely lucky right here. Could have been the end of his game. Drops another bunch of damage and just gets away. Alright, so good. A little bit of luck. A little bit of luck. Missed a couple shots. And again, being very careful with the casemate. Driving around corners is difficult. Not sure why he did that. I guess he figured the Centurion was no kidding backing up and leaving. That could have been dangerous if he'd have been poking around there, obviously. Now you see the Centurions coming down the 5. Coming down the 5 column. And NiteDog's going to have an opportunity right here. I'd have just stopped right then. He's messing around, still kind of moving around, turning around. His dispersion's bad. Now he's going forward. Oh boy, where's this guy? And a rushed shot. Probably thought he was about to be shot. And the Centurion ends up living. And had he just stopped, that Centurion was coming hard. Had he just stopped, zoomed in, that guy would have likely died right away. Alright, so the IS-4 has finally entered the fight. The E-100's over there. The Sturv is attempting to help the 704. We're going by here. Probably could have killed the 704 right there, NiteDog. But he's going to keep on trucking around. He's going to take a shot. Oh, another rush shot. And he rams him and ends up killing him. The STRVs are fairly light. Pretty easy to kill as far as ramming goes. Now where's that Centurion? 3 kills, over 4,000 damage probably. Patience once again. Using a TD in a city map requires some patience. It also requires watching the minimap, because so much of what you're going to do is based on where the enemy tanks are going, what corner they're going to poke around. Paying attention to how not to get surrounded and flanked. For example, when he was coming down Tank Alley and realizing there was a guy behind him. Just one example right there. Working this entire area right here that he just worked. Making sure that nobody actually came around behind him from one of these various directions. The time when he turned here, when he saw the Centurion coming this way, backing up. Again, had he stopped sooner and zoomed in, he probably would have killed him. But he did recognize that the guy was coming after or coming down this corridor here. Those are all skills you're going to have to use a TD effectively in a city map. So bottom tier, 4 kills, over 4,000 damage. Well played. Good example of a casemate TD in a city map. Hope you like what you saw. Make sure you subscribe if you did. Otherwise, we will see you.